does not matter. Alright, so it is live now.
Oh, finally.
Yeah.
Well, what's up, everyone?
Now we just have to see how long it takes to actually,
Yeah, can you, yeah, is it on your YouTube channel? Let me find the link.
Yeah, it should be somewhere there.
Ooh, I should have searched.
I'm just gonna have the week 5 page as the video screen for this because that's probably easy enough for me to reference between the teams that way. If I need to, I can browse the other threads in this subforum too.
I think the indie discussion helps because Owens wrote something for every week, and even though we don't still look at the insights, we can see who won every week from that alone.
Someone's echoing.
Like, as in, like, an actual echo, or just like.
I think we're good now. Might have actually been me. Oops.
Fucking
That makes
rad.
sense. I'm in a hallway, so like I'm literally echoing. Like the walls are echoing, but I don't think I can do anything about that. I don't think it picks up.
I think you're fine. I think we're good.
Why are you in a hallway?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh no.
I live in a dorm room with 2 other people in the same room.
Yeah, that sounds painful.
That's tough.
So, and one of my roommates was really, really loud, and he wasn't being very loud, but if it came to that, then I wouldn't want to have that on the stream.
Right.
So.
Maybe I should actually
Finch
pull up the
transformed
stream
into Optimus
chat.
Prime for Halloween. Oh boy, you got an interesting chat.
Look, man, I don't control what the goblins in that chat say.
Alright, I linked it in, I shared it on my channel, I linked it in any room, and I linked it in any Discord. Want to wait like 5 minutes? 3 minutes?
Yeah, that should work.
Alright, cool. Should I tag matches? Is that worth tagging matches for?
I think it's reasonable enough to, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I'm doing it.
Someone's turning into Optimus Prime. Well, you know what?
Alright, cool.
You know how they say Autobots roll out? That's kind of like what's happening here. It's got that same energy to it. Unfortunately, I do remember everyone that won week 4. Stuff rip.
We had some pretty decent matches week 4, actually.
Week 4
pretty
had
weird.
Togetic stall. I don't want to talk about it.
We need more stall in you. We just need every game to have stall.
No, we... Shut the
We
fuck
clearly
up.
do.
I think
We're
if you
telling you
use
we're
a
a
better
backbone.
stall, I think if you use a better stall, it could be fine. But like also, Infestation Plume was just like I don't know. It was like doing well against balance and tests. So it was like even if he didn't bring stall, it was going to be good.
Yeah. I thought that pick was a really good one.
And then Gerai kept bitching about how like if he brought Golbat at 6-0 when that wasn't really true at all.
I don't...
How many do we have now? We have, 3 people. Holy crap, new high score.
That's including me, by the
4,
way.
we just got 4. Started from the bottom. Now we're all the way here.
We're doing great. It's alright.
Are we gonna recap the previous weeks or do some preview?
Well, we're gonna like kind of go through how every single team slot is doing, and in doing so, we're gonna touch on all their games. So yes, not directly, but yes.
Okay.
All right, we'll wait another minute, I guess.
We're at 6
Is there
now.
anywhere else I should link? Oh, we got 6 now. Cool.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Finch, maybe you can link in your own server.
Yeah, I'll link in my server. Cool. Good call. Good call. Good call.
Only like the top half of the VR is like still in there. It's still in you. I think everyone else is subbed out.
All right, I linked in my server too.
Yeah, Ziri,
Well, the top half
TDK,
and,
Kashalos are like the only top half, I think.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, and then Ziri, and then Sinnoh. is
Yeah,
still in.
Sensei,
I
I
mean,
think,
Sinnoh
is starting
was
to hold
doing well
on.
until last week, and then last week it
I think.
kind of
I mean,
stumbled,
I
but
think
still.
it's gonna. I mean, it's gonna come down to prep. I think that there was data on him, but now I think there's a little bit more. I think that a lot of, um, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it comes down to prep, mostly, because I
That's
think
fair.
Senna is a decent pilot, but I also think that he's like knows Inu better than a lot of the other players, and like even if Ziri is a better pilot, then it's down to like what kind of team he brings versus.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to prepare for some of the people in this field overall. Like, there are some guys who kind of have their fallback cores. TDK comes to mind. You could argue that some of the guys who've been bounced out after 2 or 3 weeks, like Sabella, maybe even Confide is mine. But like, when it comes to preparing for the others, it's actually, in my opinion, a little bit of a crapshoot right now.
I think that like day one was also kind of easy to prep for.
Yeah, I think that some people kind of fell back on their reliable cores and got punished for it at times. Like even Ziri, for example, we saw him struggle with Blastoise, which maybe certain variants of Blastoise did well against him previously. I haven't really done the research myself. I'm not too sure, but it's just one example of many.
TK didn't get punished because he played better in like every week, but I mean he got punished versus Roger,
Yeah,
but
he got punished for
obviously
that
he hasn't been
abomination of a team.
I mean,
punished that much for because he's 3-1.
is that Rodri's only win though?
I
I think it
think
is.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we
Yeah.
want to start, maybe we could start with the Gibble slot and Rodri because that's the one of the 3 or 4 3K guys, and he's the only one that's actually struggling. I mean, if you look at it, Team Charms even Sinnoh is doing well. Renjon's doing well now. So yeah, I mean, Rodri's really the low man on the totem pole at this point in time, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. It really comes down to GRI support. Apparently, they didn't prep that much last week because it was Rodri's birthday on Friday.
Oh, well,
But
I hope he had a happy birthday, but he definitely didn't have a very happy game against Kashalos.
This
yeah,
Minecraft
that's what I've heard. But
is unhelpful.
I do think that Rodri's prep is a little suspect because I think DRI is like operating on the like a really old map.
Yeah, and I also think he's kind of fall back on like almost SM text. Like using full stall like that is not something that's going to be consistent in this metagame at all, in my opinion.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize
and
he
he is
brought
this kind of
stall more than
weird
once.
staple.
And I don't even think that was an optimal stall configuration either.
Yeah, I think that he has like interesting ideas. Like he uses mons that other people don't really use pretty effectively in his team, but I don't know. It's like he tries to use a fighting type as his breaker a lot as well, and that doesn't really work in this meta because everyone's really prepared for fighting types.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like we're seeing more and more and more Talonflame, Ghost types, and even Poison types right now that, at best, make fighting types prediction reliant. Like, Surfetch is going to do well sometimes, for example, but I feel like it's more streaky than ever before. So.
Talonflame's on like what 70% of the team so
Yeah, I
far.
was gonna say, I feel like
unironically, I think
stare
70% of the teams.
I looked at it right now and it's 57.5.
And
I mean, if we were to just open up every single team preview, we'd see so many wings flapping.
yeah. I mean,
And that's the
there's
sign
like,
of a good tier right now. So, according to the tier leader, we're in great shape.
there is the caveat that some of the Talonflames are running some of those more offensive Sword Stance sets. So you can get good matchups for the fighters, at least in theory. Like if you queue into just straight up SD Gale Wings T-Flame, Surfetch is smashing that in. But
Yeah.
is still
It
by
is.
far
Also,
the more
I think
common
that,
set is, you know, the utility shit with Flame Body, which just kind of makes the life of Surfetched and a lot of the other fighters even still a lot worse.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I also feel like when you're using those offensive Talonflame sets, it's actually going to kind of compensate in that, yes, you lose that maybe one extra switch in, but the offensive presence is being gained, especially if it's running like Steel Wing versus, say, a Talonflame, or you can roost on something like a Sylveon with Sword Dance. All of a sudden, you're going to end up potentially getting kills. Like, Sword Dance Talonflame is no joke offensively either.
Oh yeah, I'm not shitting
Yeah.
on the set. I'm saying that it gives some matchups for the fighting type breakers a little bit more leeway, where maybe
Yeah,
they'd have
but
a
you
lot
can
more risk
oftentimes
of trying
pair
to
it with
freely
a
break.
secondary or even tertiary soft check.
Yeah.
Also, when you use SE Talonflame, it's usually on offensive teams, and those kind of teams don't let Surfetched in that easily too. So yeah, even if it's a offensive Talonflame, it's not gonna have an easy time just because it has less bulk. So
Right.
yeah, I think Surfetched is kind of double. Like it can do so much in a game, but also yeah, no defensive utility and being not the fastest. But yeah, I still like it a lot, of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
Talonflame being everywhere is a pain.
Yeah, I think that SC Talonflame actually like almost swept the game. I think it was versus Sensei. It was like Ziri versus Sensei or something. I don't quite remember it. I think it was last week, but it did look pretty good.
I have the replay start up. I can see if it was that game. This is week 4.
It was somebody versus Sensei, I think.
Team Charm played Sensei last week.
That was
yeah. Let me find that game real quick. I think.
Okay.
Wasn't that the hyper offense game?
Yeah, that was the 2HO on each side.
And I actually thought that was a pretty cool game.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
I
someone
think that there might have
misplays.
been some things that could have, totally flipped the game, if you know what I mean. But I think both those players took good risks as in the builder and paid off, and one just paid off a little more than the other.
I thought the Endure Salic Berry Salazzle was pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I think that's what I meant by like the risk. Like I feel like we're still seeing the metagame evolve, despite it arguably being a bit more of a stagnant position. I think that's a sign of a good place to be in.
People should explore more with berries, definitely. Like even Endure Salak Toxic Rogue. Tried it a few days ago and it was like decent because people rely on people don't even run Scarfers that much.
Right.
Yeah, and a
So
big
it
thing
just
is
has
if
to
you're
be
looking up this replay at home, they're under the name Sensei Charm and Team Axe you because they like to screw with us. Just to duly note that.
Yeah, but I think if you click on that game, right? I think Team Charm kind of won if he didn't click DD again. I don't know.
On what turn? Let me find that real quick. On turn 9?
Yeah, it was turn 92.
So it DDs once, and then if it clicks head smash, Talonflame
He just
dies.
throws it and then he lives from
So
Salazzle, but he did miss, to be fair.
Right.
yeah, but if he just lands every head smash after the first DD, doesn't he just win? Because
Yes, but he does have to land, what is it, 2 head smashes?
He just needs to. If he lands them all, he just wins. Even if the Salazzle endures, it's still at like I don't know 40 something, and it tanks a sludge wave at HP it was gonna be at. So I don't know.
Yeah,
why
I mean,
he
do we know
twice.
what the fire move? It could have been something like Overheat. Actually, that wouldn't even kill. No, that would do less than Flood, wouldn't it?
It would do less than Sludge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would still do less than Flood because yeah, wow.
So,
I
I
don't
think
think
it
there's
was
any
just
way
a
we go.
misplay.
Yeah, I think I have to
So-
agree.
Hey man, if we
But
want to
also-
speak 80% accuracy,
No, I
it'll
don't
miss
want to
one of
don't
the
speak,
5.
but I just want to say let's make difference between like actual good games and games that were maybe misplayed, which is fine, of course, but I'd like to make the difference between the two. For example, I think the game between TDK and PDT was kind of nice with the two SD Ground Valleys. Was kind of interesting to see. But yeah, for me personally,
Yeah, and SP Ground Valley is probably one of like if you had like highlight a single like big mover in the metagame, it would be up there.
yeah. Even though I think people kind of overrate it slightly. I mean, it's still very good, but people all
Well, I
are
mean, I think
already
it's
prepping
easy
for
to
it more.
prepare for now that people know they have to prepare for it.
Yeah.
Zatu rising
So,
up in
yeah.
usage at like the same time that Ground Valley has been picking up has also been interesting. Especially given you're seeing like
Yeah.
foul play get slotted
Mhm.
on a fair bit.
Zatu never
I
dies.
think also the Xadu Rise also has to do with Talonflame being so good. Like Double Bird is very good, I think, at the moment.
I really like Tiefling
Especially
Glissaw too.
especially when like SD Talonflame is also very common at the moment, and it pairs really well with Xadu disrupting with T-Wave and teleport and stuff.
Yeah, and I mean,
So, yeah.
while we're talking about the TDK versus Pink Dragon Tamer, since we already discussed Rodri and his performance so far, we might as well just segue into TDK and say that besides his game against Rodri himself, which he definitely, brought some struggles upon himself, in my opinion, he's been, I mean, pretty much a continuation of what we've seen in some other tours. Now, I will say,
Yeah.
the team building is kind of limiting for him, but his play has been great.
Yeah, I thought he's played really
he
well.
compensates a lot with the way he plays. I'm a big fan of him. Like he's always been consistently good. I think didn't he go like 8-0?
Something ridiculous. TDK is arguably, if not then one of the top 5 players on Smogon this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe.
Who's nuts. But I feel like when he's not using wacky hyper offense like he did for Ziri, his teams are maybe a little bit easier to counter in the builder.
Yeah, but he compensates that really well with aggressive plays. For example, I think even was it this week or I can't remember which week. It might have been the first week. Like he didn't have the best matchup against Devon, but he still won. So that also shows, that he's just good.
Well, that was week 1, I think, right?
Yeah, that was week 1. I think that was partially down on also not making many plays, which
it's true.
He just TDK was able to get Surfetched in every time, and Davin wasn't really making any plays with his breakers. And
Yeah. At preview, you would think how is Surfetch going to do anything with Brogalgi and Xadu and Diancie and a bunch of protects Vaporeon and stuff.
But I mean, I feel like TDK didn't even have to make risks. He just made the aggressive plays that were given to him, if that makes sense in that game.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He takes them. He doesn't hesitate when he has the opportunity to. So.
Nope. Yeah, and that's really good. I will say that Davin had a good play in the mid game where he got the body slam off on the Talonflame with the Tauros, and then he baited the Brave Bird to try and do damage to it, and went to Vaporeon. But from there, it felt like after that, all of his momentum was just not. He wasn't able to mount anything from that. So it felt like he fell behind pretty far.
Yeah. Sorry. Maybe we were going a bit all over the place, or do we want to go player by player?
I mean, we've already discussed TDK and Rodri, and we've kind of half discussed Davin, who, again, his season is probably cut a little shorter than he initially imagined it was liking. Do we want to go ahead and maybe discuss Davin's teammate Confide, who's now 0-1 facing Ziri in his week 2? Do we think that that's a decent matchup to discuss, and maybe we could segue into Ziri himself?
Okay, I think I like Confide a lot, but I don't know what kind of building support he's getting, because I haven't liked many of Dagon's teams. Because what Dagon used is he basically used a Wish Pokemon 3 weeks in a row, and then Confide brought this wacky Hydro offense that really wasn't that unexpected, honestly, from Confide.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was obvious he was going to use offense. It's just a matter of what type of,
Yeah. But Confide kind of uses what he's passed as well. So I don't know if Davon used that, or made that, or if Confide made that, but it wasn't very good, honestly.
It felt like a ladder team to me.
I mean, he could have played it better, too.
Yeah.
If he kept the sash on Salazzle, then Ice Beam didn't just sweep.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a major one misplay I saw.
Yeah, I feel like letting the Rondon was
He stayed in turn 1 with Surfetch, which is one of his win cons, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a win con, but it was a breaker at the very least,
It was a breaker. He could have at least first impressions it and then made it easier to deal with if he realized until the end what was a threat, which it was.
And I think one thing I want to highlight is, while maybe this wasn't the best execution or game plan from Confide, he did take some risks, which is cool. And Renshon has just been absolutely tearing it up in the builder. Inteleon versus someone who's likely to bring offense is a really good pick. I feel like his team was designed well enough to kind of weather whatever storm he faced and also dish it out offensively. So I think that was a really cool bring on his end.
Yeah, he tested a couple of builds with me, and he was planning on bringing different type of decks, which I'm not gonna reveal for him. But yeah, he's definitely super creative and can definitely win games just by building good teams. I think I don't know if he's like a top tier player. Like he definitely knows the meta and okay, but
I think he's still improving,
some people,
which is cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Some
think he's like.
people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, I mean, I don't think he's like top of the players, but I think that the pool is relatively new, and Rinchon can take advantage of that, especially because he's good in the builder. Like, if he gets a matchup, he's going to be able to play it out most of the time, unless his first is like a really good player like TDK.
Yeah. Yeah, some people just edge in the builder, and some just by, well, I guess. So that's interesting to see.
I think the current meta is also pretty favorable towards the type of teams that I like expect from Renchon. Especially if I think to like what I see from him a lot in Oras, which I mean Teddy balance. But that kind of like structure kinda works pretty well right now as well. And since Renchon is literally someone that will build Goblin until the end of time, I think it's pretty easy for him to find a whole bunch of consistent builds that he's able to spam out and find success with.
Also, I want to touch back on Confide. Even though he lost his first game, he win? Yeah, he won the annual ribbon last year. So I wouldn't write him off just yet, even though he lost his first game. So I definitely can see him ending up maybe even positive or like a equal record.
We've got
it's not over
weeks? Not counting any playoffs. Yeah, because we're going into week 5.
Something like that, yeah.
Yep, we're going into basically what is like the middle week, if you will.
Yeah, he's still in a fine spot to have a strong performance.
Yep. 100%.
Then queuing into
the reason
shitty
I'm writing him
matchup,
off, Yeah, sorry. The reason I'm writing him off is because his team is basically out. If they like lose this week, then they aren't in contention for playoffs anymore. So I don't know if anyone's really going to be motivated to help him, and I don't really think he's traditionally a builder. I think he's mostly a player, and he has like friends give him teams. Because I know I've given him teams in the past.
I guess.
And if his team isn't motivated to help him, then that's not going to be good. I don't know how much Davon's helping. But that's
but even with low, I mean, the low motivation can be an argument or a factor, but I don't know.
I mean, are the machines really? Oh, wow. The machines are like right next to my team. Okay.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, they have 1 point as well.
Wow. These standings are kind of surprising. This is actually the first time I've looked at them in 2 weeks. So, hey, really, really great job from some of the managers I didn't expect to do well. That's amazing. Really proud of them.
You can just say Dave.
No, I'm actually mainly the Islanders and Breakers and Shoguns. I rank those as second. So, well, I ranked Dave in the middle. I wasn't sure about Ash and TKL, but both have been really doing a stand-up great job. So really proud of them. But anyway, getting back to the NU players, I think Confide is the type of guy that he's going to run into a couple wins no matter what. So
yeah.
I don't think he's going to do spectacular. Like, I'm expecting like a just below average record, basically.
There also has been just a lot of subs in NU in general. I feel like it's one of the tiers that has been subbed the most, actually.
I think we've had 14 players thus far. It'll be 15 with Charmflash, or maybe Charmflash will make it 14. We had PDT Confide make their debuts last week, for instance. So that's fun.
What the hell is the standings? Is it in the week thread?
Nope, you're not allowed to see them.
Excellent.
No kidding. Click the spreadsheet. It's under standings.
Yeah, so
Spreadsheet somewhere.
It's in
Yes.
the OP, but let me link it. Yeah, I'll link it here.
Ah,
Confide subbed in, Renchon subbed in, Charm Flash PDT subbed in. Who else?
Yeah, so this probably makes it like 14 as of this week.
Yeah, I think it's 14. That's not that many, but it does feel like a lot of people have been subbed out. On Arceus also had a kind of poor performance, even though his team is doing super well. That's why PDT's there, right?
yeah.
I think he's 1-2, right? But
Mhm.
obviously his first win wasn't very convincing.
No.
Yeah, it was pretty much given to him, I think.
Yeah, with the Ziri check.
That first team he brought was. I'm pretty sure that you could find a law that gives him 10 years in prison for what that was.
And the gambit, like the double water gambit, because if somebody's that weak to, well, he was. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think.
he didn't bring I didn't bring a ghost resist. Also, uh, yeah, that team was just
Yeah,
wrong for so many reasons.
It
I don't know.
it worked, but it should not have worked.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're discussing on Arceus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think his teams are the type of teams that are going to end up clicking and working for him at least a decent amount of time, but maybe not other people. And there's always a couple builders like that in every tier.
Right.
And I think there's a certain skill level to being able to tailor things to your own playstyle and how you view the tier. But I also think it's hard to necessarily say like, oh, he's the best builder. But he definitely is a unique individual, and there's some skill to that.
He's able to
Yeah,
build
he's
things
like a
that
bit
work
of a he's a bit of a joker. Like you don't like you can't understand the patterns he's trying to build or something. Just like crackhead sometimes. But I mean, sometimes that can pay off, and sometimes it doesn't. So, and I think that also reflects his record.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they had such a quick hook on him after 1 and 2, but maybe he just ran into some tough times, you know. It's
I
tough.
mean, 1 and 2 isn't even that terrible. Like,
Yeah, especially considering he faced Ziri, Sinnoh, Kushalos, which I mean, all of them right now are in the top like 5 of this pool, in my opinion. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could put Renchon ahead of Ziri by record right now because 2 versus 2-2, but Ziri probably is a bit more proven, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I
I
think
don't
Ziri
think
is
that.
Ziri can be very inconsistent. I think he was in my snake team last year. Well, I should say NU Snake, of course. Like he can play very well and then like smash the opponent, but he can also like make these epic misplays that just lose him the game. And I think him being 2-2, like that just makes sense. I think like he can be very good, but also like make an oopsie and just straight up lose. And like the first week, he showed it, I think. But yeah, I mean that happens.
I do
Yeah.
think that on Arceus overall had a couple of just weird building things that may have affected. I mean, I can't speak to what, other people on this team or managers are thinking, but there were some picks that I'm not sure that I could excuse no matter what you want to call comfort. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck here. CM U-turn
Yeah.
comfy is god fucking awful.
Well, look, I
at
don't
heart.
disagree. Sorry, am I speaking over someone? My apologies.
Nah, you're good.
I don't disagree, but also there were signs of this in prior tournaments. Like there were games where he used things you didn't expect to do well, and they did well in like unofficials. So you knew what you were signing up for.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. I think it was mostly that Dave kind of saw that he should have been 0-3, and he was like, "This is where we pull the plug because we have a very competent player in PDT to try."
That's fair. You do have to get PDT some games. Whenever PDT is given the opportunity, he's done fairly well. And unfortunately, sometimes that just the lowest on the totem pole has got to get replaced because of that. And that's a tough break for on Arceus in his debut. But I do think he'll get some more run in it either this time around or in the future.
Like at the end of the day, he's had a really good solo performance like this entire year. So the
Yes.
skill's there regardless. Like I don't think you could really question that at a point.
I think they'll get a run later on because I mean the Islanders are right now they have 7 points. If they get like 2 more wins, they should basically be qualified for playoffs.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
number
and I
one right
also
now.
think PDT running into Charm Flash and TDK in his first 2 is really tough. I mean, I know Charm Flash is a bit of a polarizing figure, but I think he's a good player.
Charm Flash is good, yeah. I was surprised to see
3-1
him
in RU. He beat Lax. He beat Nat. His only loss actually coming to Confide. It's funny that both of them are in NU now, a little switcheroo. But needless to say, Charm Flash after TDK, that's kind of a modern day murderer's row for an NU newcomer. So
Hey.
I wonder if PDT might have a similarly short leash on Arceus.
PDT's got this. That man's very
Yeah, I
epic.
think so too. I would give PDT the edge against Charm Flash.
Really?
I predicted Charm over
I think
PDT,
that's going to be
but
more
I'm
of a
still
lopsided one in favor of Charm Flash, personally. But I'd love to be proven wrong. I really like seeing PDT succeed, so that'd be cool.
I think that Charm Flash does have like experience in NU, but it's not really as much as RU. I think that a lot of his decisions that I've seen in like individuals are really odd, and I think that that was exemplified in Team Charm versus Charm Flash. Like for example, I think that Charm Flash leans stall a lot, and
Oh, yeah.
it's much better in RU than it is in NU.
Sure, but one thing is, Charm Flash finds a way to win a lot of games. I feel like that happens every.
Yeah.
Like I feel like every time I'm like, okay, he's not really good, and then he wins. So, you know.
I feel like Charm Flash is a good player. I just don't think he's going to do as well in NU as in RU. So I don't think that like
That's fair.
it's like a super outlandish prediction to put PDT over him. But I do think Charm Flash is a little favored still.
Yeah, that's valid. So at this point, we've discussed TDK, we've discussed Renshon a bit, Team Charm a bit, on Arceus, Rodri, Charm Flash, PDT, Confide, the guys that are not currently in Lexibel and Devon. Do we want to maybe discuss some guys that are doing well, like Kushalos and Sinnoh a bit more? I know he just touched on Sinnoh.
We could keep going on Sinnoh then, since he was slightly mentioned.
Yeah, he was already alluded to, so we might as well go to him and then segue into Sensei, or I guess a little more on Ziri, whatever you guys prefer.
Whichever way
I
it
think
works
we
out.
can talk about the 3-1 guys. So there's
Sure.
4 people that are 3-1 right now: TDK, Kush, Sensei, and Sinnoh.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. And then we also have Renjon, who's also +2 in the win-loss, but only done it through 2 games, making it even more impressive in my opinion.
I think that Sinnoh. I mean, obviously, I'm biased. I think that week 1 he was kind of donated.
Yeah.
The win.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
It was a
No
domination.
And
beating
then,
up there.
the other 2 wins were a little weird, but I do think he's been playing well and building well, and he just has the meta knowledge on a lot of people. Like Team Charm, he has the experience gap on Team Charm and on Arceus as well for this kind of stuff.
And that's sometimes just how you win games. You just gotta have a better view, a better long-term game plan of how to just find your way. And he kind of did that in a couple of his wins, and he kind of benefited from some others' mistakes, and that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So Hoenn is having,
but you
in my
still,
opinion,
you still have to
sophomore season
take the
where
wins.
he's. Sorry, you can go. My apologies.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just looking at his game versus Onarceus, and he brought Tangela, which was really interesting, and it's just worked perfectly because Onarceus brought the Ground Valley, the Rotomo, so it was actually a perfect pick for him. And yeah, even though he might have been donated the first week, it's sometimes even as a new player, you need that first boost because it's his first major tournament, right?
Second. He
I'm not
played
sure.
Snake
This is second.
last
No, this
year.
is his sophomore season. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you need the first, even if it's a donation, to start off with a win can really boost your confidence, and he just went off of that, I think. And then so the last game he played, he lost, which was in my opinion due to a misplay. But yeah, I think I can see him ending up I don't know, 5-4, if that's still possible. I think so, yeah. I think he'll end up positive. He just has to keep the, I don't know, the concentration, I think, because he's definitely a decent builder, I think. He just needs to keep up with the positive performances, and yeah,
I've liked seeing
he'll,
his quote-unquote evolution as a builder throughout, like, the more recent months. Like,
mhm.
he's gone, as I mean, everyone's gonna associate him with HO spam, because that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what got him known, I would say.
Oh yeah,
But,
and
Mhm.
I mean, I remember my first impression of it was seeing these forum posts with these like
yeah,
wild hypotheses. It's like shit, I gotta check this dude out.
dude literally deciding to innovate every kind of hyper offense possible.
Man
From hail
created
to dual
new
screens to
archetypes
whatever the hell
as
else.
he just went by. Yeah.
But now he's
I mean,
definitely
when
picked
you,
up a lot more of
when,
his balance builds, and
yeah.
where he used to look a lot shakier playing them, like, I was not a huge fan of how he used to pilot them. I think he's gotten a lot more comfortable with them and just generally looks more proficient overall.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I also still value that I do like his blend of like standardish but still throwing in some surprises. I thought the Thief Aerodactyl was kind of cool.
I like that.
Not like
Hard to fit, but yeah.
yeah, not anything I would ever expect to see, but I like what it does on paper at least. And so I thought it was a cool just like tech, especially since it was like right in the middle of Bronzong dominance. So having just some
Mhm.
random means of crippling a meta-defining mon is pretty cool.
Also, again, the week 2 game against Anarchis, so he used DDF, or
Mm-hmm.
female, I should say.
Yep.
Even though it's like seen as a mediocre mon, etc., we might unban the male version and all that jazz. Like the combination of expanding force and future sight with in tandem with Dragontail Guzzlord was actually kind of cool to see,
Mm-hmm.
because of course everyone can just say, okay, yeah, but Bronzong exists. Indeed, he won't do shit. Then
Yeah,
if you can have
Shadow
a
Ball.
phaser like that, that's just, yeah.
I also even kind of like how he
So.
played the NDD, not showing the Shadow Ball immediately and waiting till later
Mhm.
to pick it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he can only go. Like I think he learned a lot from the first few weeks. He just needs to keep his focus, and he'll end up with a good record.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I
Hmm.
do want to say, this is kind of like pivoting, but I did notice that Ziri has faced like 3 of the 4 top players in his first week. So I think his 2-2 record, other than the on Arceus game, is a little misleading. Like he ended Sensei and Sinnoh, their only losses, which is kind of
Yeah.
impressive.
Mhm.
Because if you look through, like Fishalos lost to Sinnoh, and TDK lost to Rodri, but um, for Sensei and Sinnoh, their only loss is Ziri. So I think that Ziri will like probably get a really good record at the end of the day because he hasn't really faced the bottom
Yeah,
half of
and
the
I will
pool.
say that just speaking from inside, Ziri is a motivated player, and while our team is performing at a subpar level, we do have some other motivated pieces who are willing to assist him, and I think that's one of the slots I'm the most confident in our team.
Should we pivot to talking more about Siri now?
I don't want to say yes or no because that's my teammate, and there are plenty of other really great discussion points. I'll leave that up to you guys.
I'm cool too. I
Yeah.
think it works well.
We can talk about Kushalos and how he's a good if you want.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Given the unbiased opinion of Shalos' teammate. I do want to say this as well, just about Siri. I think that his game against TDK, he probably could have won as well, just because he played it really close.
Yep.
Like, when you're playing against these crack HO teams, there's always going to be some degree of, like, how long do I hold off all of the offense Pokemon with whatever defensive cores I've got on my own team before I'm overwhelmed? Sometimes you just end up having the breaking point hit against you a little too early. I don't think he played this. At least it's been a couple weeks since I watched the replay, so I'm kind of blanking. But I don't really remember any, like, objectively just, oops, that may have been a not great play from him. So I do think it may have just been one of those like, well, shit, opponent had the offensive mons to get through my
Yeah, I
team.
mean, especially there were some surprise sets there too. So yeah.
Yeah, he had the SD Zoroark this game, if I'm remembering correctly. That died to Mudsdale helmet, which was very funny.
Yeah, and there was also was that the acrobatics Talonflame game?
Yes, I think so.
Yep.
I guess I can scroll.
And then it inspired Acrobatics Talonflame in the following week.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk about this week? Because I do think that we can talk about the players a little bit more, but we've covered basically everyone who's benched.
Can we just stop talking about Pokemon altogether, or is that what this is about? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, let's talk about this week.
Yeah, so we have Confide versus Ziri. I think we've talked about this matchup a little bit, but obviously Confide can definitely win this. Like we all know he's a good player, but I don't really trust the 0-4 NU slot until it wins.
Which is very fair.
Frankly, and Ziri, we've talked about how good Ziri is and how like we think his 2-2 record is pretty deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely see Ziri winning this match.
I just have a lot of faith for Ziri in literally any NU Team Tour. He always performs well, and I don't really ever have any reason to expect different of him until he shows me a tour where he just does not do anything. And I don't think that's at all been the case for this tour, even if he is only 2-2. His 2 losses, one of his losses was definitely just kind of an oopsie, and the other one, I mean, I don't think he played it poorly, so, eh.
Yeah, I mean, the one oopsie was definitely a bit unfortunate for him and the season prospects, but when it comes to looking forward, I don't think that has any bearing on his future plays. So therefore, I'm like, yeah, I think that he's likely to go, 3-2 or 4-1 over his last 5, especially considering he's already played guys like TDK.
Yeah, I don't view it as an indictment against him as a player, and I think he's
I think it's just an honest mistake that happens. It's going to count as an L, but he'll move on.
You move on.
Who else?
And Sensei Axu.
Yeah,
I think that we can all bold Sensei here.
I think I might have bolded Rodri.
If I had to pick one, I think it's Sensei. I do think Rodri is going to try a little harder than just, I'm going to bring Stall and hope he doesn't break it this week, but I don't know if that'll be enough. Sensei's been on fire since NUPL, in my opinion, so.
I just have a feeling that this will be the week Rodri gets it together. I still remember from one in UPL where that man was a menace. Why can't he return to that form?
I don't know, man. I just beat him in ADV NU, and tier that I played like 8 total games of, so I'm thinking he might not have it.
You're lucky I didn't sign up for ADV Cup. I would have smashed you again. God.
I don't know who you are.
I would definitely bold Sensei here. I think Rodri I don't know if he's washed or not, but I don't know. He hasn't looked convincing.
It's a shot.
What?
Yeah, I don't think I'd call him washed. I just don't think he knows the metagame too well. I think he's still a fine player.
I mean, isn't that... Well, I don't know if it... No, that's probably not the same.
If you never
know what I mean.
You never knew them in the first place.
Who knows? I don't know if Gary knows it too well either, so it's tough.
Oh, yeah, this the week we got the big highlight match, TDK versus Kushalos.
Ooh, that's like the 2 old heads too.
Yep. I think my logic going into this
like
game is that it's a really
right
even matchup, but that I'm bolding TDK because I put him as my first seed, and I want to keep true to that.
So wait, hold on. I got a bit of a premonition for this game. So you know how this is like the 1 versus 2? This is like what objectively should be the best game of the season, right?
Yep.
This game is going to be awesome. Nothing good will come of this. The winner will play worse. Yeah. There will be lots of hacks. The teams will be cheesy. That is the final side. That's what's going to happen.
I'm holding you to that.
But obviously, I can't reveal prep. But I do think that I don't know. I believe in Kushalos. I think TDK has been playing really well. I think that his structures are kind of similar. He varies it up with like hyper offense and like some dumb teams, but I feel like he has 2 modes kind of where he brings like traditional balance and then he brings like balls to the walls. kind of shit. I feel like we're probably going to see something like the second one here, possibly.
Why not
Because
both
he
on
tends
the
to do
same
that
team?
against players that he thinks are better, like Ziri.
I think part of this game kind of could just come down to the building, which is very dumb to say, because a lot of games come down to that. But if we get week 2 TDK, then I am going to just rebold my post and make it Kushalos underlined and in italics as well. But if we get TDK in week 1, 3, or 4, then I feel significantly better about thinking that he has a slight edge this week. But I think Kushalos overall has been much more consistent with the quality of teams that he's brought.
Well, I don't know. I feel like, I know this is my teammate, but I do think that like the first 2 weeks were a little sketchy in terms of like meta knowledge, but I think it's gotten a lot better
I still thought the
over the
builds
past
were
2
good,
weeks.
for what that's worth.
Yeah.
I will
I
say
guess
that
the build doesn't
Kushalos
really.
also like. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess the build doesn't really matter if you sacrifice your Tyrantrum answer.
I didn't want to say it, but, you know, I guess.
From what I've seen from last years, or maybe just from SM, like Kushalos really loves the fat, slow-ish builds. Like last week it was the Bulk Up Scrafty and the Vile Plume and the Mantine. Like I think TDK is a bit favored because he likes a bit more offensive builds and also plays more offensively. Like Kushalos likes to sit back, maybe with a Vaporeon or something, you know. Like he plays a long game often, I feel. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see who grabs the win this week.
Honestly, I kind of like the next matchup too. We got Sinnoh versus Renchan.
That's going to be the actual game of the week. The TDK Kush one was just a disguise. That's going to be a cool game.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be
Even
cool
though,
versus
yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah, these are the teams I want to see.
I bolded Ren because if Sinnoh keeps up the team style he's been bringing, it's very similar to what I expect from Ren. And if that's like a mirror matchup, I just favor Ren really heavily.
Really?
Yeah. It's not that I'm saying
Yeah, I think
Sinnoh
it's-
is going to get hard gapped. It's just, I look at that on paper matchup and I go, I just feel like Ren should win this. Because this
Yeah.
is his team
Yeah, that's-
style.
that's,
He knows how to play it, and I imagine he should be pretty competent at playing, you know, essentially what would be into himself. At least from a team
I don't know.
perspective.
I think I rate Sinnoh pretty highly. I think that's a tough one.
Oh, I rate Sinnoh highly as well. I just feel like if they get a mirror matchup of, like, balance, I favor Ren.
Fair
Yeah, I
enough.
think it's not that outrageous to think. Like for me personally, I think Renchon is a slightly better player and also a slightly better builder. So, I mean, not to say Sinnoh is trash, of course, but yeah, I mean, sometimes if your opponent is just better, then I think it's fair to say that.
What if this
I
is
don't
the
know, I think
week we get the
Renchon might-
Sinnoh offense, though? He finally pulls it
Yeah, I
out
think
halfway through the
that-
season.
I think, well, he did pull up offense once, didn't he?
Honestly, I can't remember. I don't think I remember seeing any offense from him so far. It would have been week 3 if he has.
Yeah, it could, I think it was week 3 or 4. I think he pulled out an offense, but I do think that Sinnoh is Sinnoh could possibly offense. I think that he tries to make it less predictable than last snake because every time, like last snake, everybody just brought anti-offense versus him and won instantly, basically. But I do think that, yeah, I don't know, because I think that Sinnoh has a lot of, it feels like he checklists a lot. So it's like there's not a lot that he like loses to directly because he always brings a ghost resist. He always brings like a normal resist, etc. There's just like he always brings a check for everything, but it's like very checklisted. Whereas I think Rinchon does a little bit more like a C-teamy kind of building, where he builds around mons that he thinks will be very good versus his opponents, and he's hit both times. So it really comes down to the builder, whether
I
Yeah,
think
whether
that
it
can
hits
even
or not.
explain the Dragon Tail Guzzlord on a non-spikes team from Hoenn Week 2. While it does have the
That was
NDD support, or not support, synergy, it's still kind of like, eh.
that's the checklist thing I'm talking about, though, because it's like that was for Shell Smash Black Toys and
That's
stuff like
Stoy's
that.
answer.
And that's he checked that he put Dragon Tail on it because he wanted to checklist that specifically. So that's like that explains exactly what I'm talking about. Or he does like checklist mons that may not make complete sense, but in the whole, he's not really super weak to anything, and he could just play it out.
I'll be honest, the last matchup, it's kind of hard to say too much on Charm PDT, just because neither of them have played a whole lot of NU this tour so much. Charm, this is his first game. PDT, this is his second.
Yeah, that's probably the
Three.
least.
I don't mind favoring Charm just because of his RU record. Like that's kind of dumb to say, but like Charm Flash has just been doing really well this tour, and he's been calling out really good players. So I wouldn't see him losing if he does the same here. But earlier I did mention how I think NU doesn't fit his playstyle as well, just because he likes playing these like slower, bulky win con kind of games. And although there are bulky win cons, stall and those kinds of things aren't as good. Like we don't have a reunit plus in our tier, I don't think.
Not. We have Musharna, does that count?
No.
No broken region, so on fourth. Or Magic Bounce. Sorry, Magic Guard.
We do, yeah, I'm about to say we got the bouncer himself, Lord Zatu.
Yeah.
I mean, there is stored powers out there, I guess.
I don't want to ever hear about that set again.
It's a good set.
It is a good set, and that's exactly why I don't want to hear about it.
It's basically Sigalith 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Z Poison, Sigilif, and Gen 7 NU. That's a very funny set.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this week should be really interesting. I think that the quality of games has gotten a lot better.
I agree.
Because the first week was absolutely terrible, but last week had a lot of like interesting games.
Week 1 was hard to watch. Week 2 was better, still kind of meh, and I'd say weeks 3 and 4 they've been pretty good, I would say.
I mean, that's typical. Everyone kind of grows into it, and then like the people who are doing bad kind of get subbed out.
Yep.
So
I do think we should be able to expect pretty high quality for the rest of the tournament. At least I hope we can.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
I do think that TDK for 38K is a little bit of an overpay looking at the pool.
Well, I don't think
No.
TDK was ever going to live up to that, but is he going to be worth a good amount? Yeah, he's going to be worth well north
He's
of
going to
20.
be worth a good amount, but you see Kushalos at 12.5, Sensei at 7.5, Sinnoh at 3, Rinchon at 3.
I mean,
he's
is
gotta win that to be worth
38k
it,
for
but
a
he's
near
not that
guaranteed win that bad, though?
He's not a guaranteed win. No one is.
That's why I said near guaranteed.
Look, TDK could very well go 7-2 and then win a playoff game or two if they make it. If they do, I don't know where the team is at the standing. I think they're doing pretty well so far. So all the power to them. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why he would be worth that much would solely be because if the managers were not sure what to do in that slot and had a lot of undervalued picks in other slots. So if that works out,
Right.
great. If not, TDK is not worth it. That's simple.
And you never know what he's offering, like, outside of battling. I don't know if he's
Not
a
much.
team support guy.
Maybe in UU with Bush,
Anyways.
but
Right.
I know he doesn't play a ton of OU now.
He never wanted to support all the slam tiers. He made it very clear.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I mean, I
All
don't
right.
know.
Do we have any other thoughts? Are we wrapping up now, or?
I think that's pretty much it. I think that I don't know, unless you have any meta points, I guess.
So Valley
I don't really
Ground
have anything
good,
else to say about
Zatu
SEL.
good, Bronzong semi overrated, IMO.
Use foul plays out
Is
to.
there?
Yeah.
You kept
Oh, I have
saying
an interesting.
week one.
I have an interesting question for you guys. What do you guys think of the drops for in relation to SCL? Like, are we gonna see the blade or?
Yes.
Yes. The
We're
Blade
gonna see
good.
double it on offense.
The Blade real good.
I think the blade is like the blade fucks up current balance structures.
In my
But I
opinion,
don't think
I'm sorry.
it's going to be as good whenever people figure it out. I think that people are just going to have to change their styles a little bit there.
All the teams that I keep building, because I'm still very much in previous meta mode where I keep asking where's my Celebi, what the fuck? I just look at the team when I'm done and I'm like, fuck, I built another Deblade lost team. So, hopefully the SCL players are faster than me at adapting out of that. Because I feel this first week, Deblade could farm pretty hard.
I don't know. I'm not sure because like we still have a lot of common mons that check it, like Talonflame. Even Rotom Mode takes like only 50 from +2 Shadow Sneak and can just like volt on it for massive damage because its special bulk isn't that great. So we could see some games where at some point it SDs up and it just snakes everything, or sneaks rather, everything to death. But it's like it's a bit too slow to actually sweep, even though it has priority. And it also, like, since it's a steel type, it doesn't really. It's not like Duraludon where it's a steel type, but it also isn't a steel type because it offers like
Doesn't
nothing
do much
you
that
want
you
from
want
a
to
steel
steal
type.
from, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I told you, Arabia, earlier that like if you want to build with the blade, you can't use it as a Draco switch in like you would with Bronzong because it's gonna lose like 50%, and then you're like, yeah, fuck, I can't use this anymore. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting what people are gonna build with. And on the other side, I think since it can run Rock Slide, you can't just go Talonflame because you might get KO'd by that or even crippled by Toxic. So definitely an interesting addition to the tier.
This is a very specific not match, but interaction I'm wondering about. Will Tyrantrum just disappear with the blade around?
No.
I don't think it disappears, but I don't think it's going to be as good. I mean, it gets crunch.
It does, but
You know what I
Crunch
think
does
is
like
gonna be really good
44
for?
max.
I think we're gonna see a ton of the blade and a ton of Tyrantrum with Zatu, just because Mudsdale is probably gonna be pretty decent as like an anti-Deblade answer on like bulky offense too, and Zatu kind of shuts it. So that plus the rise of foul play Zatu in general, I just think that's gonna be another trendy Pokemon right now.
Zatu
I think
been
Vaporeon's a little bit more justifiable too. I think that Vaporeon does really well against the blade.
Oh yeah, but you gotta run Scald on it, or Flip turn into like the right Pokemon.
You can't. I think Flip Turn is bad just in general, but we
Flip
have to
turn
talk
is
about
not
that.
viable on Vaporeon. I'm saying that now.
I don't think it's not viable. I just think you have to have very, very, very specific plans for everything that you would lack, Skull for.
I think you're incorrect, Smile.
I guess.
I think that Vaporeon Scald, like I've talked this before, but 3-hit KOs do blade even with EV Light. So I mean, the
Even
blade can
though,
like kind of break, but if it gets burned, then it's kind of over.
What if people actually start using Power Herb Solar Blade for Vaporeon?
I'll
That
be
would be
really
amazing.
upset. I'll be really upset.
Good night, cool world.
I also think that it's really easy to creep to blade because you can easily run. Like, it might end up being like last year actually, where it's like it's.
I don't know because I've seen so many fast doublades. Like people are running near max speed on it. I don't know why.
Well,
So
116.
I want to see Assurance on Braviary. I just want to see a Deblade take damn near 70. If Ubers can run Assurance Zacian to smash Duskmane, why can't we run Assurance Braviary to beat up Deblade? Riddle me that.
wait, I'm actually looking up his assurance. What does it do again?
It doubles if a Mon takes damage on the turn that you're hitting them with the move. So if something switches in and takes rocks damage, you are getting hit up by a 120 base power move.
Oh, even rocks boosted.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, but surely no one is gonna use. I mean, I think Bravey right now is just pretty bad. Anyway.
Braviary also wants other moves, but that won't stop me from at least considering Assurance on it.
Yeah,
If it's only for
nice
a couple
dream.
of seconds.
Keep dreaming, keep dreaming.
Hey man, don't make me build a team with it. I'll go out of my way to.
We're kind of trailing off, I think.
Yeah, I think we probably could wrap this up now.
Alrighty, thank you guys so much, all 8 of you, and of course I'm sure you guys are, you know, your whole family's watching, so all like 40 of you, of course, you know, big audience, big deal, for watching. Any last words, guys?
How many fingers am I holding up?
4.
You'll get that answer when the player interview happens.
Yep.
Make sure you subscribe to Finchinator if you have not. He
Don't
sometimes
do it.
uploads
It's a
OU
trap. It's a trap.
videos.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, true, don't feed his ego.
Alrighty, thank you guys for joining, and have a great day.
Hope y'all guys do well. Peace.
Peace.